Welcome back to Succheads, the final episode of the unofficial Succession recap podcast from Flop Culture. I cannot believe it's over. I feel so sick, but I do not feel sick looking at my gorgeous co-host, who I'm so happy he's here and has been here to share this experience with me. Eoin Keane, how are you?
It's so happy. I'm so happy to be here. It's so lovely to be in your beautiful home. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate it. We're in person.
I know.
We like each other.
We do. We had our first night out on Friday night.
It was
first proper night out.
Oh, what a ball.
Brief, but
it was probably an hour long, because at that point I was like, I can't walk in the shoes, so home time for me.
You were like, that was so sneaky. We were literally crossing the bridge and suddenly I could see you going into a taxi and I was like, wait a minute, do that. And it's like literally like a dog, you know when they leave a dog at the side of the road.
Thanks for referring to me as a dog.
No, I'm the dog. You're my parents driving away. I felt like that toy in Toy Story 2.
Oh, the
female cowboy. Jessie.
The female cowboy. She has a name. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, cowgirl. Oh my God.
You're not doing well for your feminist credentials.
Sorry.
Anyway, we're here to recap the final 2 episodes of the final season of Succession, season 4. I cannot remember the titles. They'll be in the
State.
Church and State and with open eyes.
Yep.
And we probably should have done one episode even on the Church and State thing, but you have a big boy job. You have enough to be doing. So I don't have a job. There's people who are like, "Can we get a second episode?" I was like, I'm kind of busy, and also like Owen is gainfully employed. You know, like it's not up to me. You know,
I think you're right though. There's so much happened in the last 2 episodes, and now because we both watched the final episode this morning, we got up early to watch it, and I'm so shook by it that I can't remember anything that happened in Church and State. I'm like, oh, apparently Logan is dead. And I'm I'm stunned at what transpired in the final episode, which was like a movie. It was an hour and a half long.
It was, but it didn't feel long.
No.
I think before we get into the nitty gritty of the details of it, are you satisfied? Are you happy with the ending?
I think so.
I think so too.
When I watched it, I was just like, no, like basically falling off the couch. And then when I thought about it and I spoke to like a few of my friends, and that we were kind of like, it's the only way that it could have ended. Like ultimately none of them could have succeeded Logan. And that's what happens. And I know we'll obviously talk about it, but it's an amazing ending.
It's just, I was the exact same as you. I was like, I just don't see how it could have gone any other way. Like in some ways, yes, but I was getting really worried about the Greg situation, because I said it at the start, and at the very start of this podcast, I was like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's never going to happen. And then as the series kind of kept pedaling along,
Greg was going to succeed.
Greg was going to succeed. This is all. If you looked online in certain pockets of the internet, or when I did certain question boxes, people were like, "It's going to be Greg. It's going to be Greg," and I was like, "That makes no fucking. It does not make a bean of sense. A magic bean of sense." And then we were getting closer to the end of the season, and like he's getting closer to Madsson, and like Madsson was kind of bringing him into the circle, and then it was like very obvious from the last episode that it wasn't going to be Shiv for the American CEO. So I was like, oh my God, they are going to have it be Greg and it be this falling upwards kind of a thing. And then to see that not happen, I was like, okay, thank fuck, because it still doesn't make any sense, because he's clearly fucking incompetent. But did you
see how tactical he was getting, and like how he was over or eavesdropping the Swedish conversation, had the translator going 90, and then was like sending information. He knew what to do. There was that streak where he understood that he had to get people on side to ensure that he was going to be saved post merger. He
had started wheeling and dealing, but he doesn't have the killer thing in him, because he doesn't, like when he's on the phone.
Did you think
Kendall,
he was doing it by accident?
How do you mean?
As in, did he understand the gravity of the situation, or was just like, I heard this information and maybe you might find it? Was he playing them off each other?
I think he understood the gravity of the situation, but I think the hope was to play them off each other. And I don't know, was he just banking on them not getting back to Tom? But I don't know how it would not have.
That's the thing. I was like, he's a fucking idiot, that child.
Like, he's so dumb.
He's on $200,000 a year.
Cian was sitting here next to me in this very chair going, he's not on $200,000. I was like, of course he is. He's getting paid €200,000 a year whatever the US dollar conversion is, to pour fizzy drinks in people's eyes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's crazy. And do you remember he was like, I won't even do coffee. If I was getting paid €200,000, I would do a lot more than getting coffee. I would do anything that was asked of me.
And I bet she's doing nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, do you reckon he's going to get a pay bump or pay cut with Tom?
I think he's going to be like, I saw loads of people being like, oh my God, it's Nero and Sporus again. Do you remember that? Do you remember the story that Tom told Greg?
Oh, the castrating thing. Yeah. That's the only detail I remember from that story. But
well, yes, yeah. So that's, yeah.
I don't know what that says about me, but.
Says a lot. So I do think that eventually Greg will just become like his supplicant and Tom will figuratively or perhaps literally castrate him and make him his wife.
We shall see. We shall see. But before we even get to how Tom got to be CEO, I feel like it's one of those videos where it's like, yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. We need to go back to the funeral. And we won't spend a huge amount of time on it because I think there's a lot of detail you could wade into. But the obvious thing is the event itself. Logan is being buried. Roman's taken it upon himself to do the speech. And we learned that from the previous episode. And there isn't much of a reaction then from the siblings. They seem to be like, fine. Yeah. But then we get to the funeral. Roman absolutely cats it. He hasn't pre-grieved. He's devastated. He's like sobbing like a small child, like asking, can he be taken out of the coffin?
That was so sad when he was like, can we take him out of there? I was like, oh my God, he doesn't understand anything that's happened in the past few weeks. He's just, it's all hit him in front of the world.
Yeah. In front of Mencken, who he's kind of been like Billy Big Bollocks in front of. And now, it's like, do you know what I mean? No, and now Mencken's like, tiny little crying boy, and I don't really like you anymore.
That Mencken is so weird. I get a very bad vibe off him.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. He's a neo-fascist. But also,
was that the first sign, was it?
Yeah, no, it was the vibes are off.
The vibes are off. Not good vibes. But anyway, when Roman said he was going to do the speech, did you think he was going to crack in that way?
Well, you see, I was like, he was doing his whole, like, do you remember the opening scene of Michael Clayton when Tilda Swinton is getting ready for a presentation?
What the fuck is Michael Clayton?
Have you ever seen that movie with George Clooney and Tilda Swinton? She won an Oscar first.
I exclusively watch Ratatouille and that's it. I'm not good with movies. Like, what's it about? Who's Michael Clayton? Is he a real man?
I can't really remember now. It's George Clooney, and he's playing
and Tilda Swinton.
And he's playing a spy, and there's something going on. They're businessy something. Anyway, she is. The start of the movie opens with her in the mirror practicing. Okay. And I thought it was a very obvious homage to it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then at the end of it, she gets caught and she's like put away for jail. Okay. And the final scene is her like dropping to her knees.
Okay.
So then I was like, okay, that makes sense because then that's what you see Roman do. But maybe that's just a coincidence.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, no, I thought he was going to. Now Roman wouldn't be my first choice for that kind of eulogy.
No, absolutely not.
Did they just give it to him so that he'd have a job?
Maybe, but then I'm wondering again: is it a thing of like, did they know he was going to cack it, and that's why they didn't say anything? Ooh. Like I think from Kendall's perspective. I think Kendall was like, he has that killer Kendall in him where it's like, you go up and make an absolute ass for yourself and I can slide it in here. Yeah. But then there's another part of me with how they reacted. And again, you have that like touching sibling thing where they're comforting each other and then they end up giving these impromptu speeches that I'm just like, no, actually, they were just there to support and actually be nice.
Well, we have to go back to first and foremost, delighted that it was, we finally got a Catholic funeral because they are the most dramatic. My mother, I was watching it at home and Claire, Nan doesn't watch the show at all. And she's like, how many priests are at that funeral? She's like, wow.
She's like, wow, this guy's important.
Yeah, this guy must be, this is a real Billy Big Bollocks.
Sorry, what was going on with the coffin? It looked like black plastic or something.
Yeah.
But then I listened to the actual official Succession podcast.
Boo.
I'll come back to that because some of the interviews they've done this season have been with the actors have been so unhinged. But anyway, it looked like black plastic, but it was wood. I think whoever the consultant was said it was a type of wood, whatever. But it looked like it looked like something. It looked like something Charlie XCX would design or something. From what I remember. Like it was very.
I love it. She is mother.
It is giving.
Yeah. But that's like that music video. Didn't she come out of the grave?
Oh, yeah. Good ones. Yeah. There you go.
That's the inspiration.
Never be afraid to reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it was a bad idea that we did this one in person. I think we're going to be insane.
Bang my head. like, I'm just like, throwing myself around here. Logan Roy is a Charlie XCX stan.
I'd believe it. I would believe it. Mad funeral. Everyone's there. Mattson, he's still scheming away with Shiv. Shiv is full throttle. Like, I hate the lads. Though they've kind of called a truce, and she's told them she's pregnant, and Roman is making all these like awful, grotesque is it mine? And I'm just very. But again, it's kind of nice to see them be like with each other and
as
like have the banter and stuff as a unit. Yeah, and obviously it's so funny to see the transition of Kendall at the start of the episode to the end, where he's like fighting with Rava, and he's like totally devastated about the fact that the funeral's here, and he's like kind of chiding Roman for being like, oh, I'm so excited to give the speech, whatever. And then at the end, when he's giving his speech and is like, God, he was such a force, and I hope that force is in me. From someone who was previously like, I'm not you, I never want to be you, you're corrupt, and everything like that. It was just, but then the audience were eating it up, they were clapping, and Shiv got no claps.
I thought, yes, you're right. Well, first of all, we have to talk about the dad from Babe who went on a solo run. Logan's brother,
Ewan. Yeah.
And he went up and
played by James Cromwell.
Yes, James Cromwell, who was in Babe.
He was in Babe, yeah.
And like he just went up and just gave like this speech about how, you know, he was a malevolent force and everything. And I was like, my jaw dropped. Then Kendall went up and gave his speech. And then like Shiv was like, well, I'm going to give a speech too. I was like, what is this? I've got a free for all here. This isn't fucking Friday night karaoke. You know what I mean?
Just everyone having a go.
Yeah, I was like, who's next? Jerry's going to go up there. Anyway, and then I didn't think either of their speeches were that impressive, to be fair. The best speech was the dad from Babe.
Oh my God, it was just incredible because it was a speech of two halves in the sense that it was like you had this, him kind of giving context to why Logan is the way he is, and a lot of details that have been referenced before, but I'd forgotten again because I hadn't done a full rewatch in advance of this. But like the detail about them traveling over to America during the war and they're in the U-boats and they're terrified and they don't speak to each other. And then he goes off to school and comes back and he has polio and he potentially gives his sister polio and she dies and they don't know, but he just blames himself anyway. She's come up before in whatever series.
With Holly Hunter.
Yeah, with Holly Hunter. What was that character's name? Rhea, yes. Correct. Rhea. And there's one point where she goes to give a speech or something. I don't know, is it for Logan's birthday? A toast or something. And the kids have said to mention Rose. And she doesn't know the context of this. And again, I only saw this from a clip on TikTok. She says it and like Logan is furious. And she's like, doesn't get it. And you have these like side-ons from Shiv and Kendall and they're like looking at each other and they're laughing. So you have this fella who's like clearly been just absolutely traumatized growing up and then has decided, you know what, I'm going to pop out a few sprogs and absolutely inflict the trauma on them. You know what? A trauma shared, a trauma halved. But actually it's a trauma multiplied. But then, as you said...
maths. I wouldn't have known that.
Great maths. Project maths. There you go. There you go. But then he also has the second half of the speech where he's like, yeah, no, he was essentially the worst fucking person alive and he's built this empire and all the money and maybe he gave away a little bit to charity, but like drops in the ocean in the grand scheme of things. Like it was very like...
He's almost a corrosive force in society in that he's playing on people's fears and like whipping up their anger and then that's bubbling up and onto the streets, which is why you have Mencken who's after declaring himself as president. And then also like, as we see later in the episode, riots literally on the streets. So... yeah, it was an amazing powerhouse moment.
But it was the truth about Emmy. Yeah. Oh, actually, this is something I wanted to ask you because someone asked me this on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and I cannot verify if any of this is right, but whatever. We'll go with it.
We'll swing it.
Okay. Apparently, Brian Cox is submitting himself for best lead actor at the Emmys, right? But spoilers, Logan dies in this series, right? Yeah. If you don't know this and you're here, not really sure why, but anyway. He's not in it that much, right? So I think there'd be an argument that he should actually be going
for supporting.
Yeah. And in putting himself in as lead, he's splitting the vote between probably Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin. And maybe Matthew McFadden,
I heard that all of them are going for lead actor.
Like that, and then then you consider the other seasons
Shiv is going to go for Sarah Snook is going to go for lead actress.
Yeah, but I feel like that's that's grand for her, but it just feels like then is it taking away from the others when they were like in it more, but then Logan still is a lead character in the season.
That's actually a very Logan Roy move. To submit yourself for.
That's kind of also what I was thinking.
Yeah. It has to be Kieran Culkin, I think, who wins.
The minute he started like the whimpering and the crying after the speech, I was like, they're engraving his Emmy now. They were like rubbing out Pedro Pascal, and they were like K-I-E. But it's going to be...
He's up for an Emmy as well then, Pedro Pascal, for The Last of Us.
I'd say so. Like, it's going to be very tough. But I think
it's... It could be down for miniseries though, right? And maybe this is drama series. Do they make that differentiation?
Because they're doing... Because it's not a miniseries. Last of Us is going to run for like another 2 seasons, I would imagine.
What?
Yeah. Did you watch it at all?
Yes. I was like, I loved it.
Okay.
But like, that fucking fungus freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I also, a controversial opinion, I didn't think that episode where you had the guy from Parks and Recreation.
Don't say you hated that episode. The guy who got his contrarian.
No, I'm not being contrarian.
You are being a bit contrarian.
Let me finish my sentence. The guy who got his ass eaten on White Lotus.
Murray Bartlett.
Yeah, thank you. That episode wasn't that great. It was fine.
Okay, that's a wrong opinion, but we'll move swiftly along. Okay. Yeah, no, it is very Logan Roy. And to be honest, I think there probably is just some rules in that he is technically a lead character. And you know what I mean?
But he's only in there for 3 episodes.
Well, no, because he crops up in this episode as well and the Living Plus episode.
I mean,
he's in like 5.
I've done more acting in Succession than he has in those last 2 episodes. Like, I swear to God, that's insane. Anyway,
I don't know. We'll see. It will be very, very interesting to see. Oh, it will. I think it'll walk. And I think, look, I take this on my Instagram and people are like, oh, I didn't like it, whatever. Some people just don't. That's grand, whatever. And I get the argument that like maybe it's a little bit repetitive. But I think it's down to like the performances, and I think the smaller bits of the writing is what gets me. Overall, were you happy with the season?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I thought it was like one of their stronger seasons because I was even looking through the episodes, the full 10, the full whatever package of it. Some of the greatest moments are in that season. Like, I mean, the episode where Logan dies, I'm sorry, that was the best hour of television I've seen this year.
Incredible.
And then the last 2 episodes with the funeral and then with this final tussle and the crowning of the successor, if there is one, that was just incredible. I was like, I loved it.
There's so many good like standalone episodes, like the election episode.
Yes, forgot that one. Yeah,
when they go to Scandinavia to sort out the shit with Madsen.
Yeah. Living Plus, I didn't love.
Some of the other episodes did kind of fade into the background for me.
What happened in the first episode?
They're still doing the 100, and then they buy Pierce. What the fuck happens with Pierce now? Jesus Christ. You're gonna pop along, are you? Oh my God. Someone wrote to me after and they were like, what happens with Pierce? Have they all just bought it? Has that deal gone through?
No, I think, but they're not. Oh, maybe they're going to buy Pierce with the money that they get from this merger. Yeah,
actually,
Nan Pierce is probably like, where the fuck's my cash? You know?
Hello, tapping her watch somewhere. Hello, texting Shiv. Hey.
Just
hey, hon, how are you? It's not to bother you. I know you're up the wall. Congrats. And Tom, jeez, he's doing so well. Listen. The pension now, she ain't hitting. So I was wondering if we could get that transferred over today.
Yeah.
Do you need a card reader? I'll send you a card reader.
Do you want my IBAN?
Do you need the IBAN? Are you not on Revolut, girl? What? You're the only person in the world not on Revolut.
Honestly,
Jesus, that's what happened in the first episode. There you go. But I do still think overall it was actually stronger than season 3 because there's a lot of season 3 that I don't remember. Like the opening episode. Oh yeah, the dick pic episode and the opening and the closing episodes.
Well, yeah, I was going to say the opening. Last season was when Tom betrayed them, or was that season 2?
No, that's season 3. That's the end of season 3.
Yes,
Very end of season 3. Yeah.
Tom, fucking Womsams. Did you see that TikTok? Oh yeah, you sent it to me. That apparently his name is inspired by some baseball player who took out 3 people in one go.
Yes. I'll read it in a second, but I was avoiding that. Someone said it to me on Instagram. They were like, have you seen this? I was like, I love you. Do not send it to me. Do not send it to me. Do not send it to me. And I'm glad they didn't because it fully would have spoiled it for me.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing was spoiled for you before you watched.
No.
Okay.
I did go on Twitter and I did see a picture of Shiv and Tom together. It's like the final scene where she puts their hands together. So, and then I kind of was like, oh, fuck, I kind of can see where this is going. But I already had my suspicions because I knew that Shiv wouldn't be happy with Kendall. With not even with Kendall being CEO, but with her not being CEO. And that we can discuss that.
Let's just talk about the finale. Whatever. Yeah. You all know what happened in the funeral. We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to
small details, but Oh my God. It's just like, it was
incredible.
It was just perfection.
Yeah.
Like, it's
just so good. Like there's, and like the crop, like when the mother Caroline comes back up, she's like one of my favorite characters anyway. She's somehow involved in this. We have another boardroom scene, and it's like
which you've said on this podcast, your fave moments.
They
like,
are,
you know, shit's about to hit the fan. Like,
exactly. And it's like there's always like it's drama at such a high level, and it's just. But then I was even like, obviously, basically, when you say I'm gainfully employed, like if they find out how little I did today, because I was too shook by Succession, I needed to go up and lie down for an hour. It's like I had like a cold like compress on my head.
I felt sick.
Yes.
I felt like kind of dizzy. It was just like
I was shaking. I was like, when I tell you this, when Roman said the thing to Kendall about his children, I nearly fell off the couch. I was just like, oh my God.
This was like mini episodes in an episode for moments for me. So
will we just do a run through of the episode itself, and then we can go into the bits we liked.
So the end of the funeral episode, Roman goes out into the, like, realizes he's fucked with Mencken, he's fucked the speech, he's feeling like really fucking sad, he's just buried his dad. So he goes out into the protests that are happening on the street in response to Mencken's election in inverted commas. Yeah. And he gets caught up in the fracas and the violence. He kind of seems to be
great word.
I just dropped that in there.
Over
we
here.
need to bring back fracas.
I love that. That was great.
That's my position. He's kind of getting punched around, whatever. So then it opens with the guys prepping for this boardroom. Kendall's prepping for them to say no, so the sale doesn't go through, and he takes over. That's fully his plan. Shiv is on Matsson's side and is like, well, we have more votes depending on the way it's split, so like I'm not worried.
And the reason that Shiv is on Matsson's side is because he has in principle agreed to appoint her as his American CEO.
Yeah.
Where basically she will be a marionette and he will be putting all the strings.
Yeah, there'd be a front, and we're seeing like media coverage about that, and he's reading it in a magazine, and there's like this illustration of her as the puppet master, and he's the puppet, and she's like, does that bother you? And he's like, no, it's fine. But in the midst of all this, Caroline the mom is ringing Shiv and is like, your brother's here, he's in bits. She's somewhere in, I think they shot it in Barbados, but I don't know if it's actually, she's supposed to be in Barbados or somewhere in the Caribbean, somewhere much nicer than where they were anyway. But she rings and is like, I had wanted them all to meet up, I think, and I think they talked about it at the funeral as well, about them kind of clearing the air, because obviously she dopped them into Logan last season. She was one of the reasons why it all felt shit for them. So she's like, okay, I'll come over, whatever, blah, blah, I'll fly out. She says this to Matsson, and Caroline also gets on to Kendall, and Kendall's like, I'm too fucking busy, whatever. Yeah. But then finds out Shiv is going, so he goes as well.
So they're both going to go and compete for Roman. So
to get him to decide his vote, essentially, because they don't know what way he's going to go. So they get there, and Roman has these like stitches, and he's very like, fuck off, I can't be dealing with any of this. Stop trying to get a vote out of me, everything else. Caroline is also totally allergic to them doing business here in this gorgeous sunny place in her shitty holiday home.
Also allergic to eyes, which she called what? Jelly eggs on your face or something. Jelly eggs in your face. I was like, what a deranged thing to say.
She's terrifying. She's worse than Logan, in my opinion.
In
some ways, I think she's just like, I think the reaction to Shiv's pregnancy at the funeral.
Which she knew straight away. She copped. It was only because like Shiv had maybe gained a bit of weight.
I don't know. Like, it was just...
She didn't look straight at her boobs. Which I believe they get bigger through pregnancy. I'm not a medical expert, but...
Anyway, they're at the house and they're kind of vying for Roman. Roman fucks off, but then, what is it? They kind of go for dinner together and things are like...
And then, what happens then is that word filters through that Matsson has gotten cold feet on appointing Shiv as the CEO.
Yes, because he's taken Tom for dinner. Tom is convinced he's getting fired. And Shiv is also trying to work out a deal with Matsson that it's like, or she's trying to play it really cool that it's like, if you sack Tom, it's grand, but if you keep Tom, he's grand, like he's a good worker, but like, my opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we were married.
The biggest stick in a room.
Yeah, great line. So good. So then Matsson takes Tom for dinner and basically confides in him that he wants to fuck Shiv, but also doesn't actually see her as being CEO and is trying to kind of think of other people, whatever. And he's having other conversations. He's talking to your man, Walter, is that his name? Who we met in season 1, I'm pretty sure. And I think he carried a little bit into season 2. They have that conversation and Tom Tom gets the feels that it's like it could be for him. So Tom basically lays it out in the line that he's like, I'm constantly worrying, but like I'm very able for the job, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's just very honest in that moment. So Madsen's like, yeah, well, like,
Well, he completely capitulates, and he admits that if Mattson gives him the job, that he will do his bidding. That Tom will literally just be putting in the hands of Mattson.
because Mattson says that Matson's like, I don't want like a leader. I want like a front man.
Exactly.
I
He wants
want
somebody
a
that he
face.
can control.
Yeah. And Tom's like, absolutely,
That's me.
unreal. So he goes and
What a
says
pathetic
this.
man.
Do you still hate Tom?
I still
after
hate
all
Tom.
this?
He has redeemed himself a bit because he's ultimately shown himself to be very strategic and ambitious. But it's through just complete vacillation as a man.
It's kind of sad for me to see the transformation of him go from like silly, goofy, little funny,
Joking around with Greg
to full Logan. Like he has.
Do you think he's Logan?
He's not Logan because no one could ever be Logan. But I was having this debate with someone in the DMs there where they were like, Tom should debate. I'm like, I just can't. I need to talk about this all the time, basically. But they were saying, they were like, I'm really annoyed Kendall didn't get it because he is the killer and Tom isn't a killer. And I was like, no, but Tom kind of does have that killer instinct in it. Like we've seen it time and time again.
But ultimately, the successor is Lucas.
Yeah, but
Lucas has all the power.
Yeah, but I wonder, is there a part of Tom that like, well, actually, do you think this is ideal for Tom because he has the illusion of power and people think he has the power, but he doesn't. And he still gets like all the nice fineries, all the money. He has the title.
Unless, and like someone was saying, like, what's going to happen when Mencken eventually loses this recount in Wisconsin, that the other guy then is appointed president of the United States or is elected president and sends the IRS so far up Tom's ass that like he'll just be, I mean, he looks as if he succeeded now. But at the end of every season, someone looks like the winner, but then we find out that they're not.
Maybe that's the moral of the story. There
you go.
There are never winners, only losers.
Exactly.
In succession. I don't know.
Or the ups and downs, you know, some days you're winning, some days you're not.
Yeah.
You know?
I hadn't even thought about that. I feel like they're in a strong enough position now that it's like they're fine. They're ready to ride out the storm.
So that's where they're in Barbados and she finds out that she's not going to be made CEO, and then they decide to band up together. So three musketeers are back together.
Yeah, because Tom tells Greg tells Kendall, and that's where we have that phone call where Greg's like, I have this insane information. What are you going to give me? But again, also kind of doesn't. This is what I mean, like where he's still a bit of a bumbling fucking idiot, where you can't even be straight up, be like, I want this, or he's just like, I have something amazing, and you'll give me something terrific, and fucking stupid Greg. And but anyway, it doesn't matter because he tells Kendall and it works. Kendall's able to go back to Shiv and be like, you don't have this deal that you think you have. You are fucked.
That's where she's so pathetic because she's like, he believes in me, and I'm like, bitch, he doesn't. Men are pigs. Men are pigs. Like Shiv's whole story arc is kind of a bit of a tragedy in some ways. Like, isn't it? I obviously think Kendall is the most tragic person, but Shiv is a very close second.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it is her sex that I think works against her from the start. That's the reason that she was never chosen, even though she does seem to be the most competent of the three siblings, the most suited to being CEO. But it's always stood against her. Like Logan brought it up. It's been mentioned a few times, and now she, like Mattson kind of said that her pregnancy was one of the things working against her. It was a weakness. Remember, he was like, oh, I heard that you're pregnant. And then she has to be like, well, I'll be back within 6 hours of my pregnancy. I'll be back in the boardroom. Like, so ultimately, fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah.
As Kendall famously said.
Fuck the patriarchy. Yeah, it's just to see that scene where she learns like that she's not in contention. They had an announcement draft on and she's taken out of the draft, and she kind of walks away from the two brothers, and she's like, you could hear her in the distance shouting like motherfucker and all this, and it's just like it's definitely the sex thing, but it is also just like it's so painful to watch someone constantly try and scheme and never succeed, because in some ways she is so much more competent than
for sure
Kendall and Roman. I do still think Kendall kind of works her out, but I think where Kendall fails is that if there's even kind of like a milligram of pressure, he cracks. And we see it in this episode as well. Like he turns inside out like a wrung out washcloth. Like he's
that scene is so amazing.
Oh my God. But anyway, okay, so
they come back to the board meeting.
Shiv comes back and is like, right.
Oh yeah, sorry.
let's do this. Like, we're all in this together, essentially. And then they're trying to figure out who the successor is because they ring someone else. Telson? Who the fuck is that? Who is this Telly man?
Telus or something.
Telus, whatever. And Shiv hates him. They ring him anyway to get a sense check and get kind of confirmation because Shiv won't like ring anyone or whatever to prove that the lads aren't lying. And he essentially says, yeah, Madsen's talking to other people.
Carolina sends on the press release with her name taken out.
XXX in the brackets. Oh, damning. And what was the other thing? Yeah, so sorry, they're talking to him on the phone and they're like, okay, so how can we position this? Can we go in as a 3? And he's like, honestly, no, like it needs to be one person. Even the co-CEO thing hasn't really been working.
Yeah.
So then they're kind of all taking their moments to be like,
why it should be me.
And Kendall's like, Logan told me when I was 7 years old out in the Hamptons that it was going to be me. It was all mine for the taking.
Did you believe that?
Yeah, I do. But I do also think Logan's at so many points said it to all of them. And I'm not being funny. Like, I do think he said it. Did he mean it? Like, what fucking 7-year-old child? This isn't fucking Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Honestly,
do you know what I mean? Like,
somebody's called social services. Where the fuck is Tulsa? Like, this is insane.
Anyway, yeah. I do believe he said it, but I believe it was one of those things you say in like a moment where you're looking at like your eldest son in inverted commas, or you're looking at Kendall and maybe you see a spark in him and it's like, and it was the dream he wanted, but obviously as Logan got older, he was like, all my kids are fucking idiots. I can't trust them with anything.
And that's why his name was marked. I think it was strike through on the will, that he was like, he had planned to go to get Kendall, but then Kendall had just fucked up so many times.
So he says this, and then Roman reveals what we knew as the audience, but they didn't, that Logan and himself had been in touch way more closely than the others knew when they were kind of doing their Three Musketeers act.
Yeah.
And the other two kind of don't believe him, I don't think, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like there's quotes like, what else did he say when nobody else was around and stuff like that. Yeah. Shiv is basically like, you've both done it before and you've both proven that you can't do it. And also makes the argument that like, he'd said it to her as well. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. At this point, I kind of think she is counting herself out as CEO. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she realises that once Lucas isn't going to choose her, that her chances are gone. But like, what the fuck is Logan going around? Is he just like getting drunk at Christmas parties and be like, you're going to be the successor? Like, have some self-control.
Very, very Oprah. You'll be the CEO. Yeah. You'll be the CEO. And you'll be the CEO.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably said it to fucking Iverson at some point or whatever. The rest of
we'll find out. Yeah, he obviously didn't do it.
Okay, we'll get there. Okay, so they decide to band together and they're like, right, we just have to convince the others, we're gonna fuck off back now, whatever. But they all, sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself, excuse me. Kendall's basically making this pitch for himself and is very much like, I want it, whatever. They decide to go down for a swim.
Did you think they were gonna go skinny dipping?
No.
I was like, oh no.
Again, that's just where your mind is.
I was like, oh no, they're not going to skinny dip, are they?
But did
There's so many incest jokes in this fucking thing.
Yeah, fair. Did you actually... So, okay, so Kendall goes out for a swim and he goes out to this dock thing and he's sitting out there and Roman and Shiv are having their own separate conversation around, like, do they give it to him, essentially, and what should they do? And there's a joking conversation around whether they'd murder him and, like, they could just say it was horseplay.
Yeah.
Was there any part of you that was like, is this going to happen?
For sure.
Like, I was 100% convinced, which is kind of thick in hindsight, but I was just like...
No, I was like, they actually could fucking do it. It'd be like, what's that film with Jude Law? The Talented Mr. Ripley.
What fucking movies do you watch?
How do you not watch The Talented Mr. Ripley? They go out in a rowboat and then suddenly he's killed. Matt Damon kills Jude... Oh, spoiler alert.
It's fine.
Sorry, just ruined The Talented Mr. Ripley. Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine.
But that's where my mind went. I was like, they're going to do it and they're going to make it look like an accident.
I will say I am kind of glad that it didn't happen or there wasn't any... Did you see any of the conspiracy theories about like... conspiracy theories, I think I was actually spreading them as well. And that Tom was dead. Sorry, can you watch yourself with the lamp in the background? You keep fucking hitting your head. You're too tall for my house.
Oh my God, you make me laugh so much. Sorry.
What was I saying? No, but did you, this theories that like Tom had some kind of terminal illness. I'm laughing now. I'm not laughing at people having terminal illnesses, but like.
Oh God.
No, I'm not.
This Succession podcast is taking a dark turn.
Fucking stupid. Like that I just, at one point in this podcast series, I was like, what? Maybe Roman dies. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
We were not in a position to be analysing this TV show in hindsight.
With literally no knowledge. Like, we're literally watching it like everyone else is. You think Cara Swisher is at home watching it at the same time as us? Then she's just ringing up Alexander Skarsgård. So, yeah, he'd a big enough role. I better see if he's free. We're idiots.
Oh, anyway. No, but I am glad none of that kind of
none of the ridiculousness
happened. Because I think it would have cheapened it, like.
Yeah.
But it's in the same vein as Greg becoming CEO. Like, it just actually wouldn't have made any sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even the thing, like, the reason why I picked up the Tom thing was that obviously in the election episode, he's going on about that he's so tired. And then in the funeral episode, when they come back, or they're doing like the afters. What's the afters of a funeral called? It's not afters.
A wake,
yeah.
But that's before, isn't it?
Whatever the afters of a funeral is called, where you have the sandwiches in the soup. They're back at the apartment or whatever, and
think they have triangular sandwiches at that?
No, I'd say.
Do you ever have triangular sandwiches anywhere but a funeral?
You'd have to at like corporate things, wouldn't you? Like meetings and stuff.
Yes,
but they're never as nice.
No, they're not.
Because they're usually like kind of left and they like.
Yeah, the eggs are almost a bit like.
Up.
Yes.
But I don't eat the egg ones.
Do you not?
No.
Are you vegan?
No.
Oh, thank God.
No offense to anyone who is vegan, but that's a big misconception about me, actually. People think I'm vegetarian. I'm not. Okay. So there you go.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry, I don't know where we've gone here, but sorry, he makes a remark at that afters that he's tired again.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, maybe.
Oh my God, that he's sick. I get it now.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah,
okay.
In some ways, I wasn't just pulling it out of thin air, but I also kind of was pulling it out of thin air. But like, basically, if he had died, I don't think that was enough to like.
I think he was depressed.
Yeah, just stressed. Same as the rest of us girls, you know?
Yeah, we've all been there.
And that's why hustle culture, toxic. Get the rescue remedy, Tom, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, back to them not skinny dipping. They make the jokes about murdering him, whatever, and then I think they're eventually like, I don't think Roman has it in him at this point either. No. I don't think Roman wants it. And Kendall even says this. Kendall's like, he doesn't want it, but he just won't say it.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. I think Roman's like, I'm done, I'm out.
Okay. But ultimately, it's going to be between Kendall and Shiv.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think even then, I think Kendall makes a more compelling
I agree.
argument.
Yeah.
So then the two of them swim up.
He is a man.
He's a man. They swim up to him at the fucking pontoon thing, whatever, and they're like, we anoint you, you're the king. And he's like disgustingly happy, like smile painted on his face, like the most unusual
the cat that got the cream.
Yeah, because all he ever looks is depressed all the rest of the time. It's very strange to see him smiling, isn't it?
Yeah,
It was a bit unnerving. And then you have maybe the most beautiful scene in television ever, and where, in my opinion, the show should have ended. It should have just been that, and then it should have just been the Full House theme. Yeah. And the camera should have just frozen on each of them, and it's just everywhere you look, and it's like Roman licking the cheese, and Shiv's getting a pickle, and it's like Caroline sucking your man off, whatever her new husband's name is. Peter, who cares? Just they start making this like concoction, which is definitely a callback to when they were kids or something. And like something I think a lot of people do as kids, where you make these fucking rancid concoctions out of shit you find in the fridge or shit outside, and make Kendall drink it as like an initiation kind of thing, or a thing to be like, we've anointed you, this is our blessing, and they're having so much fun and they're laughing.
Some families go to Fort Island. This family has an initiation ceremony.
I love Fort Island. This podcast is not sponsored by Fort Island.
Yeah, but I wish it was.
Yeah. Anyway, they're making this horrible smoothie thing, and Caroline comes down and is like giving out to them for being loud and
touching her Peter's cheese
touching Peter's cheese, and then says that they have the knobbies in the freezer, which I've never heard them be called that. It's called heel.
I just
part of the bread is called heel.
I just absolutely love posh English people. They're so fucking weird.
The nubbies. So the nubbies. Peter doesn't like the nubbies, so they're in the freezer. I don't know why she's from Essex, but anyway, I wish she was. That'd be much more entertaining.
I also love that actress. I think she's like, her voice, there's a great timbre to it.
She's so good. And she even kind of makes the comment, like, it's good to see you getting on. And, like, we all agree on, like, the fact that I'm a shite man, whatever.
Did you think that she said that to open and they'd be like, oh my God, no, you're grand. And then they're just, like, silent.
Maybe?
I think she was kind of like... Oh, I'm going to say silent on that one now. All right. Well, back to bed for me.
Back to bed for me. Maybe.
With Peter Munson. I saw someone describe him as not the stepdad, but the dad who stepped up.
Every time he talks, I want to punch him. He's so bad at the funeral.
He's awful. He's just like a John Cleese character going around like trying to get investments and all these like harebrained ideas.
Sorry, also we actually skimmed over that, but did you understand what him and his friend were pitching to the kids?
Not a clue.
It sounded like Living Plus, but shit. Like it sounded like a hovel. It's where you send old people that you don't respect.
Like literally. Well,
respect old people. This is not an ageist podcast. Peter and his friend, dickheads. Give old people the respect they deserve.
I think that's actually the one downfall of Caroline is that she's such a boss character because like she obviously gets all she wants, but then she spends her time with that twap.
But maybe she wanted to marry someone who's weaker than her after being under Logan's thumb.
And who hates when people mess with his cheese.
Yeah, that's
fucking weird. No, I do love good cheese.
I do love good cheese as well. What type of cheese was it?
Don't know. It kind of looked like one of those smelly cheeses that you get in Super Value. A big Super Value, not a small one.
Okay.
The great Super Value is in Cork, actually.
Which one?
It's the home of Super Value. Think so. Carrigaline, is that where I was? Where does Simon...
Oh, one of them.
There's one huge one. They had a massive...
Cool.
No, where does Simon Coveney from? Yeah. It's like politics.
You are literally political correspondent. I feel like you should know it's not up to me as patron of Cork to know where every individual Cork person is from, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, yeah, so they're having this amazing moment and it's just, again, this is one of those mini episodes in the episode where it's just like, it's so incredibly acted and it's when they're together, they're so strong.
Yeah.
But as Kendall said, the poison dripped through to all of them. It's not just Kendall and it was never... I don't know, maybe there was a part of me that thought it might last and it would be that it wouldn't. I didn't think... I suppose not going into it because I didn't have fucking clue going into it. But at this point in the episode, I was like, okay, they're going to go for it, but something else is going to implode. Yeah.
I knew it was too early. They were too happy too early in the episode. And I was like, something's going to go wrong. Yeah. It's going to end in tears. It always fucking does. Yeah.
So then they're like, they go back to Logan's old apartment, which Connor now owns, and he's doing this kind of like estate sale thing. And he has this really complicated stickering system for like if you want bits in the house or whatever. And again, you've this other like beautiful scene where they're watching back this video of Logan talking about presidents that have lost.
Yeah.
Or or some stupid political thing. And it's like him, Kerry, Carl, Frank, Jerry.
I thought himself and Kerry were so cute together, the way that they're like their hands and everything.
And she puts her head on his shoulder at the end when he's singing the song. And they basically start watching this video and they start singing the song and Logan's running in, they're all watching and they all kind of start welling up. And I
was crying.
Because it was just like the silence of all of them kind of not talking and...
They were all kind of holding hands. It was very sentimental.
The way they're able to get moments of like absolute humanity for these monstrous people. And I do think I didn't leave the episode feeling like sorry really for any of them. I felt sick, but like not in a way... Not in sympathy, because we've had that a couple of times in this series. Like, the funeral's an obvious example. That's a really humanising moment for all of them. But we have seen, like, the baby girlification of these absolute fascists online. You know what I mean? Maybe I've indulged in it, perhaps. Maybe I have. Maybe I've been a Roman apologist, who could say? No, but you know what I mean? And then you have, like, the election episode where it's like you see them for what, like, these are horrible rich people who are essentially fascists and don't care and only care about themselves.
Exactly. Will only try to further their own interests.
Yeah, but then again, you have these, like, these teeny tiny moments, or you had, like, the fight between Shiv and Tom, or like this moment where they're watching this video of their dad just singing. At the end of the day, they are just four siblings because Connor is there. People like to forget about him, but he is there. He is the eldest boy. He is interested in politics. And they're all sitting there watching this video, and it's just, oh my God, it was, I can't even talk, like it's, I'd love to go back and watch it now. It was just seeing, because I thought it was just Roman, but like you see Kendall kind of crack, and like they're all cheering up at this old man who they all loved despite it all. Despite all this, despite this absolute cycle of abuse they were caught in that they're aware of in some ways and not in others. It was just so beautiful and sad.
But as you say, kind of like, you know, you see past the facade, you see the humanity, I suppose, of everyone. Yeah. It was such a powerful scene. But then, and like I presume it was like an Irish song or whatever, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Why
I
do
didn't.
Americans fucking love bringing out an Irish song whenever they want to get really emotional?
Well, he is like technically Scottish, his character in
Yes.
it as well. So I'm wondering, is there some
Or maybe it was
connection there?
Scottish.
I don't know. But we just do better sad songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and a funeral.
Yeah.
Sure.
San Diego song, the Coronas. I'm joking. Moving along. Is there anything you would have loved to have taken from Logan's apartment?
No.
Nothing.
Well, I mean,
He's so rich. Come on.
I thought it looked very nice, but like, no, there wasn't anything that stuck out to me.
I'd say it was very musty, you know, that way.
Yeah, a lot of leather.
A lot of leather, a lot of
Not in a kinky way or
gold-plated sheet. Yeah, not the good leather.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the leather we want, girls. Am I right? Am I right?
Did you have a leather ensemble in that TikTok that went viral that you made about Setting Sunset?
Did I have a leather? It was just a leather jacket. That was the whole joke. That was just a leather jacket
yes.
with trousers. I can't even talk about that Selling Sunset video. It's
Why?
kind of ruining my life.
Because it's gotten so big.
But yeah, but then I'm also like that. So the opening line for anyone who's not familiar is like, I joke about the fact that I've sold a house to Twink, right? But now like Americans and all are watching it. So now I think they just think that I'm saying that I sold the house to a Twink.
That's what I thought.
Which I'm not allowed to say. I'm definitely not allowed to say. And I don't say that. Whatever. Twink is a singer. Twink is an international Irish entertainment icon. That's who I'm referring to, okay? This is me clearing the air. This is my notes app statement, okay? I'm worried. Like, the Americans don't get that. The English people don't get that.
I know.
Anyway.
But it's very funny. You look great.
Thanks.
So
anyway, enough about me. Back to Succession.
We're still talking about this last episode. We haven't even got to the boardroom yet.
We haven't even gotten to the boardroom yet. My God. Yeah, so they're stickering everything, and Shiv and Tom have a conversation where Shiv is like, yeah, no, Mattson was fucking me around. Like, I'm out. Like, I'm not in contention. And Tom is, she says, she's like, I know he's talking to other people. And Tom's like, right, okay, I think you should hear this from me. Like, it's me. It's going to be me. Like, I'm the CEO. And she sees red. Did you expect that reaction, or what were you thinking?
So yeah, she didn't know. She had no inclination that it was going to be Tom.
She didn't know it was him, but she knew, and none of them knew, I think.
Yeah.
They just knew he was talking to other people.
I couldn't believe that Tom was revealing his hand.
Yeah.
But do you think he was doing that as like an overture of love, that he wanted to, be like, you can come with me? Or
I think so. I think it was
in
a
a subtle
bit
way or whatever. Like,
and I don't think he would have said unless it was a done deal at that point. You know what I mean? I think he knows full well. But then that just reminded me then. So when Greg got on to Kendall, he must not have said it was Tom. Do you know what I mean? When he rang Kendall and was like, I have this information. So he actually was kind of protecting Tom, but still kind of fucked him over.
No, because didn't they have like a massive fight in the bathroom where Tom slapped him and then Greg punched him back?
Oh my God, we need to talk about that in a second. But like, no, because but it was the fact that Shiv didn't, none of them knew. Okay, I'm confusing this now.
Sorry.
Greg rang when they were in Barbados immediately after like having the shots with Oscar and Mattson, right?
Yes.
And that's when he's like, what can you do for me? And Kendall's like, just tell me whatever. But I don't think he didn't say it was Tom then. He just said he was definitely talking to other people.
And that Shiv was out.
Unless he did say it to Kendall and Kendall didn't say Tom. But I feel like if he had, Kendall would have used that again, like, would have knifed Shiv with it, you know? Would have shivved Shiv with it. It was a bit confusing, but because that's why I was like, oh, they all know, but they don't. Like, no. So anyway, I think Tom said it to her when he 100% knew, and it was 100% him. And I wasn't sure what her reaction was going to be, but there was a part of me that like I didn't think it was going to be as strong as it was.
Well, I'd be fucking raging as well if my ex-husband was going to get the job.
Sorry, and considering she thought she was getting it.
Yeah.
And it must be so kind of soul destroying for her in some ways when it's her dad's company.
For sure. And it's also, I don't think she's ever really fully respected Tom. I never viewed him as an equal. So the fact that then he is the person who's getting the prize, what she's always coveted, is killing her.
I think she does respect him in some ways, but she doesn't respect him in the same way she respects Logan.
Yeah, fair.
Which
and Logan, remember Logan described him as like he is a man who is fathoms beneath you.
Yeah. So and that's probably
that's staying in her mind as well. Yeah. This is the worst possible outcome for her because the company that she wants is now going to someone who she thinks is far lesser. Yeah.
And then I'm wondering, is she also seeing her future play out where it's like, right, okay, so you're just becoming my dad and you're going to have nothing to do with our child.
And I'm going to be the wife.
Yeah, and I'm trapped here, whatever it is. So it's either like, I stay with you, the cycle begins again. I break up with you.
Yeah.
I'm a single mom who works 2 jobs and like would find that potentially very hard, you know?
Imagine if Shiv Roy had a Reba McEntire haircut.
I think she will when she gets older. I
think
can
so?
see it. Yeah. Yeah. I can actually see that for her. Which
What a
kind of
style
makes me
icon.
sad.
Yeah.
What a style icon. Yeah. She goes cuckoo fuck bananas, tells the brothers, is like, right, we need to go absolutely ham on this. We need to get the board. This sale is not going through. Fuck this. I hate Tom. I hate Mattson. Blah, blah, blah. Mattson gets word of this. So they're also kind of
And they go
inspiring
buck
themselves.
ace as well.
Yeah. They go absolutely mad. Their team is calling Ebba. He's calling Oscar. He's like, shouting at
I
them.
was like, all Ebba does is get shouted at and get sent blood.
Girl,
What a life she leads.
you could definitely get a job in like Pinterest or something.
Exactly.
Like you have so much tech experience. Like you can get a much more pleasant job somewhere.
Like an NGO.
Like absolute. What a fulfilling life you could lead. You know.
Honestly, when he comes in, he's like, Abba! And I was like, you know.
He's very good, I have to say, Alexander Skarsgård. And then we had that fight, as you mentioned. So Tom cops that Greg obviously said it to them or like leaked that he was chatting or whatever. And it's fucked off because like he's his right-hand man and he's like knows he's kind of been double-crossing him. So they go into this bathroom and he calls him in. And
another fight / conversation in the bathroom. They love talking and peeing.
I'm pissing.
Yeah, honestly.
Swinging swords, literally. Maybe not literally, actually. Not literally at all. But anyway. But it was again, I think it's a good, like, you see how much Greg has changed as well. Because in their initial fight, he doesn't really, earlier on in the seasons, he doesn't really kind of fight back. Yeah, he doesn't challenge Tom at all. Whereas this one, Tom does kind of slap him, but like, it's like a little slap.
Yeah.
He comes back at Tom, full force palm.
That was
and then they're like shoving each other.
Yeah. It was like Barbara Windsor, get out my pub. Like that was...
Get out my pub.
Get out my pub. Myself and Tommy watching it and I was just like, oh my God. Yeah, shout out Tommy. I was just like, oh my God. And then I thought that Greg was going to win at that moment.
Yeah, did you think that was the end of Tom and Greg?
Yes. Because
so did I.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised, obviously we'll talk about it later, but like surprised that he kept him on, but then that shows that ultimately he does love him. Theirs is the truest love of all.
Yeah, maybe. And then I wonder, is there a respect thing there as well where it's like...
Do you think that Tom is gay?
Do I think Tom is gay? I don't know. I don't think so. I actually don't think so. I just think he's...
You know that tweet, did I send it to you? It's like my favorite tweet about Succession, the whole thing. It's from the day after that Logan died, and it's like, what if you're pregnant and your dad died and your husband is gay and then you fall down? It's the best worded tweet I've ever seen.
And then you fall down.
Yeah, and then
No, I do think he loves the women. I'm going to be honest.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm just seeing eroticism.
Well, look, he could be bi. It's a spectrum, Owen. We can't be talking about this going into Pride Month.
Yes, of course. I know. Listen, I was bisexual too for years.
I too was once bisexual.
Yeah, exactly. We've all taken a walk on the bi side.
Anyway, they fight. They head onwards to the boardroom because this is... So like Barbados and all has happened in that one day and then it goes into the next day and they're doing like this date sale and then going on to the boardroom.
The timeline is so fucking ridiculous. Do you think they could have postponed this board meeting to like the day and not a day that was after their father's funeral?
Yeah, but also, why was Connor doing fucking Cash in the Attic? Do you know what I mean? Like there was a bit more important things on, like... Do you know? I would love to see that house redecorated by Willa. It'd be the most hideous thing ever. It'd look like... Have you ever seen Bella Thorne's house?
No.
I'll show it to you after. I won't show you now, but it would. The people who know will know. One of the most hideous celebrity houses ever. Just like
she's the girl. She's TikTok, isn't she? Red hair.
How do I just? Yeah, but like
I know her.
She's a multifaceted artist.
Is she on OnlyFans now?
Yes.
Okay.
She's a big advocate. Yeah.
Willa started off as a sex worker. Yes.
There you go.
Shout out to sex workers.
Yeah. Shout out sex workers. We should say as well. Oh yeah. Obviously, Connor is planning on going to Slovenia. If Menkenhall goes through, whatever, but there is a question mark around that. And then Willa has a new play. We love the arts.
Yes, we do.
We love the arts, girls.
Yeah, we do.
So they're potentially going to do long distance.
Which is obviously not going to work. So Willa's just sort of getting the apartment. And like that's why I kind of felt a bit sorry for Connor. That I was like, oh, you know, we all thought that he was so happy that he got Willa to marry him, but then it's obviously not going to work.
It kind of ruined that for me because I was like, oh, they are, you know, Willa loves him in her own way and like, I thought they had kind of a nicer... I thought their relationship had kind of transformed in a way that was a bit like nicer, and I don't like the idea of like that Willa kind of still hates him a bit, you know what I mean? But like I obviously get why she does, you know what I mean? But I don't know.
She's getting that cash.
Getting that cash monies. Anyway, boardroom. We're here.
Finally.
I've
been waiting for this all fucking season.
Yeah.
I love a boardroom.
They go into the office. There's a couple of things that I missed when I watched initially, and then again messaging people. Like, it was kind of abundantly clear. So they're in Logan's office and Kendall wants to sit in Logan's chair and he kind of says it. And they're like, yeah, grand. And Roman has a great line where it's like, it's not a magic chair. He sits in the chair and puts his feet on the desk.
Yes.
So I think that kind of...
I was furious.
Yeah. I missed him putting the feet on the desk.
I noticed it and I was like, and you can see Shiv, she kind of looks and you can see her eyes. There's a flicker of anger or whatever. And then I also noticed that behind Kendall, there's a picture. She's the only one that's on the mantle, let's say. There's a picture of Logan with Ronald Reagan, and then there's just a picture of Shiv, and then there's a picture of something else. So I was like, then in my head, I was like, oh my God, Shiv's going to end up winning. But
we all know what happened.
Well, maybe
we watched.
Does she really win?
We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. But anyway, Stewie, they're trying to get around Stewie.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting conversation between...
Stewie never fucking backs the right horse.
Yeah, like what? But I feel like he'll just back any horse. You know what I mean?
I'd be so embarrassed if I were him. He goes to every board meeting and ends up supporting Kendall, and then it's all flies back in his face.
Yeah, it's a bit. But then, like when Tom does, obviously spoilers, but like Tom becomes CEO, and he's like, "Oh, Tom, man, so delighted."
Yeah.
Whatever. He's such a lick arse. But we got an interesting revelation. The Kendall Stewie people, the Kendall Stewie fandom rejoices because we got confirmation. Speaking of bisexuals, Stewie kisses people when he's on NDMA.
Yes. I mean,
we
good
won,
for him.
girls!
Yeah.
We won!
We got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah, literally. I was like, those turtlenecks were always... Actually, the turtlenecks did read bisexual.
Yeah. Anyway, I love him. I would have loved more of him in this episode. More him and Jerry.
Yeah. Where the fuck was Jerry? Now, as you know, got me, I bleed Jerry, but...
I'd love a few deleted scenes from this episode. Can you imagine?
Was criminally underused. Is like J. Smith Cameron in a play or something? Like, was she just not available?
I don't know.
Like, did she mess up her Google Calendar? How the fuck is she so...
Guys, sorry. Oh, I'm triple booked.
Oh my God.
I have to get these nails off. I won't get another appointment for weeks. So anyway, they have Stewie. So, but anyway, I can't get into the other random people. There's like Sandy, and then this fella Dewey. Who is Dewey? Who is Dewey?
And then there's a Sonia.
Sonia, no idea.
There's two women who just happen to be there, and all they say is yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Academy Award.
Yeah.
Frank.
Ewan is there, Frank. All the others. Jerry is back, but she's like kind of flanked by this team. And then when Roman sees her, and this is pre the board meeting, pre the vote, Roman has another wobbler, which I kind of, I get it, but I didn't get the conversation around the stitches. He's basically saying that like the stitches of his injury is like healed too well, that it doesn't look good going into the boardroom. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really get that. So DM us at popculture_pod and maybe you can shed a bit of light on that. But he sees Jerry and he like totally cracks.
Yeah.
And then I suppose is wondering then, and maybe there's a bit of the desk thing as well with Kendall where he's like, should it have been me? It was supposed to be me. Like, why isn't it me? And again, we have this, I keep talking about these mini episodes within the episode, this scene with Kendall and Roman, which was so like borderline unbearable to watch, where Kendall brings him in for a hug and he knows he's potentially losing him as a vote, brings him in for a hug, and initially it seems like this nice comfort because he's crying, whatever else, and then starts squeezing Roman's head.
It was horrid.
So that the stitches like pop and he starts inflicting pain on him, and initially like Roman's kind of taken aback and like obviously is feeling this pain, but then you can see him push his face into Kendall's shoulder because all he knows is pain. He was physically abused by his father. Yeah. He's feeling some comfort in feeling this again.
It's just so messed up.
While Kendall is like kissing him on the head and stuff, and then Kendall's like delighted in his sadistic killer rape because he's like, okay, well, I know I have Roman. I know he's not shifting. When it's like, maybe it's not Roman you should have been worrying about. It was fucking Shiv.
Yeah.
That scene, fuck me.
See, obviously, Kendall was so assured of Shiv's support because he knew how angry she was that Tom was going to be appointed CEO, so he was more worried about Roman. But my God, it was so painful to watch. And I was like, I knew what he was doing. I was like, why is he like, that's when you see like Kendall is becoming more evil. That's something that I don't think he would ever have done in the previous season.
No, not at all.
Like,
Can you imagine him being like this at even the start of the season?
No.
Oh, just
Yeah.
tragic. Then we get an interesting scene before going into the boardroom where Carolina is like talking to Shiv and is like, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but it's like, this is exciting, whole new era. We'll be able to kind of upturn the culture in here, whatever. Because I think at this point, does Carolina think she's voting for the sale? Yes.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So then, yeah, because I think that was the moment that kind of solidified it for Shiv, that Shiv's like, if I vote no and Kendall stays in power, nothing changes. I'll always be second fiddle to my two brothers. I don't win really in any scenario, but
that's a
maybe,
good point,
do you know what I mean? Like I didn't pick up on the chair thing. I think the chair thing kind of kickstarted the cog for her, and then Carolina confirmed it. But also, she's very, because one of the things I was talking about with someone else, she obviously goes in and then like throws the vote. She's the deciding vote, and she ends up is like, vote for the sale. It needs to go to Gojo. But I was talking about it with someone and they were like, God, do you not think she turned very quickly? But
No.
she is just very flip-floppy though as well though. Like I think that's kind of on brand for her.
I didn't think that it was a flip. Well, I suppose it was a flip flop. I mean, it's probably the definition of a flip flop. But I think, like, it's not as if she made the decision there and then. I think, as you say, that the wheels were turning and the wheels were in motion a lot earlier. It started off with the chair, the conversation with Carolina. Never picked up on that. So that's a really good point. But I think there was just, she was never fully on board with Kendall. She knew that he has fundamental weaknesses as a person that will betray him in the end.
Yeah.
So she was never really fully on board.
Yeah.
It was a means to an end. It was a way for her to exact revenge on her own husband. And then I suppose she realizes that there is this other path.
Yeah, and I think every time she sees that kind of horribleness in him, I suppose there's also a bit of her that maybe wants payback for the election as well.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, yeah.
And that whole thing.
So many things fucking happening. It's crazy.
So Carolina says that's Shiv. We go into the boardroom. Frank's doing the fucking agenda, whatever, boring. And it goes to the vote. And as you said, you have these random people who I don't know and whose backstories I don't care for and whose backstories you won't get on this podcast.
No.
Go elsewhere.
Yeah, ask
Finish
Karis.
listening to this. Yeah, ask Karis Swisher. And poor Karis Swisher is getting ready to filth on this podcast. I hope I never meet her. What was I saying? Yeah, so they go to the vote and Kendall basically puts it forward that like the deal is no good. Yes, we were proud to negotiate the deal and like a good price, but whatever, it doesn't reflect what we have now and like I can do it, etc., etc. So it goes around the table and like Stewie backs him, Roman backs him.
Sandy and Sandy back him.
When
Roman was teetering.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. Do you remember in the first season when Kendall tried to do the boardroom takeover and Roman voted against him? And I was like, oh my God, he's going to do it again here today.
Yeah, I thought he was going to waver.
And then he just kind of like, he basically just like very, very meekishly says that he is voting against the deal.
Because I think at this point he's just given up.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't care. Sorry, Sandy and Sandy didn't go with Kendall. They actually wanted the sale. It was Ewan and Dewey. I don't blame you for not remembering that. Because who was Dewey and Ewan, whatever. So then it gets to Shiv and Shiv's
oh my God, I forgot that. No, they said, yes, we don't support the deal.
No, they wanted out.
Oh, okay. I missed that. Okay, go on. Yeah.
I think. Who the fuck cares who voted what way, right? Who cares? I literally just said I don't care about any of these people and then proceeded to care really a lot about what way they voted. Whatever. It's basically like there's a deciding vote. Shiv has it. Frank's like, Shiv? And Shiv's like, I need a second. She goes out into the room. Kendall, Kill Bill siren is going off in his head. He's like, fuck, what am I doing? Need to go out, talk to my sister. Roman joins them. And Shiv's essentially like, I need a moment. Fuck off away from me. Yeah. He won't. He's like pressing a bruise. He's like, why? We have it. We have it here. What the fuck are you doing? You're fucking this up.
Imagine the intern in that office on that day. Because it's all like see-through windows. And you just see these three people going hammer and tongs.
Imagine being the window cleaner.
Honestly, I was like, this is no way to act in a workplace. It's but then
when have they ever acted appropriately in a workplace?
That's true. But like, I mean, have you ever worked in a workplace that's anywhere like that? Was News Talk like that? Were you bullied like that in News Talk?
Definitively no. Anyway, yeah, they go into this room and they're kind of duking it out, and Shiv is essentially like, I can't vote for you. I don't think it should be you. I love you, but like, again, she's kind of acknowledging this transformation that he's undergoing, and I think she's realised that it's like they're fucked if we keep this cycle going. And I think in some ways, a follower put it really well to me. she sacrificed herself and became her mother so that Kendall wouldn't fully become their father.
Okay.
What do you think? I think that's right.
Yeah, I can see the validity in that.
Yeah. They're absolutely having an absolute banger, and then it comes up, and then she's like, you can't be CEO because you killed someone, which is called back to the end of season 1 where he has killed that waiter because he got in the car with him to go get drugs, and then that's never revealed. And then we have this again excruciating scene where he's like basically like, oh, I made it up, and then Shiv's like, what? And Roman's like, what? And like they don't know whether they believe him, and he's trying to like fob it off, and it's so
bad.
It is so just uncomfortable. And that's what I'm saying when it's like, at some points during the season, he's worked really well under pressure. Like the presentation when Roman bailed, he did so well for Living Plus.
That's right.
But then you have something like this where it's like, he knows he has these kind of dark secrets, and like the minute they bring it up, it's like he cracks. He just disintegrated like before their eyes. It's so pathetic. And again, to say pathetic, he's screaming at Shiv. He's like, "I'm the eldest boy. It was promised to me."
So that was the thing, that was his one reason that he was Jewish. Because I'm the eldest boy, and as an eldest son, I can really relate. No.
Do you see a lot of yourself in Kendall?
Yeah, imagine.
Worrying.
No, but I was just like, that was when I just completely lost all respect for Kendall.
But I think also that's when Shiv knew she made the right call. Because she's like laughing at him. She's like, one, you're not the eldest son.
Yes.
2, it means fucking nothing.
Yes. And it also shows that if that's the only thing, that's the only justification that you can give to have this huge, powerful job, it shows that you're completely ill-suited to the role. Oh my God. When she laughs, like that was like, that scene just keeps on replaying in my head. She's such a good actress.
So good.
Sarah Snook.
And it's one of the...
Shout out, Sarah.
And it's the other line he has where he's like, I'm a cog and I only work in a very specific machine. Like, it's just so pathetic is the word. Like,
it's again, he's just like, it's a complete climb down. He's just lost all strength. And it's awful to watch. Yeah. And then they talk about the bloodline. Can we discuss this?
Absolutely. Give listeners context. So what happened? So like Roman basically rolls in essentially.
Exactly. So Roman is all the time like very sheepishly up against the window where everyone's looking in. Although they all don't really seem to be watching. I'd be like, if I was there, I'd be like, popcorn, come on. Anyway.
Binoculars.
Yeah.
But then the camera's dead. Anyway, we got enough. It's fine.
But then Roman is like, well, if you want to talk about the bloodline, Shiv is the bloodline. And I was like, what does he mean? And then
I'm going to be honest, when he said that, I was like, oh my God, is he not Logan's son? But again, big dummy idiot me. I was like, oh my God. But like, they wouldn't fucking do, again, moron.
But did you know that...
Thanks for not agreeing, but it is true, moron. But did I watch?
Did you know that Kendall's children weren't his?
The only reason... So the whole issue with... like Rav as child and the security issues, like I didn't get that until I was reading other things or I listened to a podcast or whatever, and I didn't realize it was that Sophie was his stepchild.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
But then it's like, so none of them are his kids then, are they? So they're just...
So it's very heavily implicated. So basically...
He has at least one stepchild.
Okay, so one of them, he's like one... What did he say? One of them is a buy-in. What's that about? Did you know what he meant by that?
No.
So Rome basically insults Kendall's 2 children.
Some of the most horrific things this is what I'm like, we cannot baby girl Roman anymore. He's awful. He is one of the worst people in the show, 100%.
Yes, for sure.
Which in a show full of terrible people, like fair play on being the worst, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's something that's so evil to say. It's oh my God. So basically he just reveals that Kendall isn't the natural father. I don't know how you say that.
Yeah, we do, like, whatever the situation is there, but essentially, and because Shiv is pregnant, Shiv is like the only one with the claim,
exactly, in
inverted commas.
So Logan, yes, the only one that would be Logan's theoretical, actual grandchild. Because casting like doubt on, that is just so awful. What, like when again, that was the second time that I almost fell off. Oh my God.
When they start, so then obviously Kendall reacts very badly to this and starts like physically kind of roughing Roman up, and that's like I heart my mouth stuff and like
insane.
The must hair when they leave, and like he pushes Shiv at one point, and Roman's like, she's pregnant. What the fuck are you doing? You're fucking. So at this point during this kerfuffle, she leaves the room, goes back into the boardroom, and like casts her vote, leaves. Kendall goes back in, and again, this pathetic scene of him like kind of fixing his hair, but it's still all mussed up when he goes in and is like, okay, and actually, sorry, even before this, he's going to Roman and he's like, let's get another angle, let's get Frank. And Roman's like, it's done. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's finished. And then he goes into the room and is like, Frankie's like, right, okay, like, we have another vote, whatever, and I think we should adjourn, and or it might not be Frank, it might be Carl, whoever, whichever one of the fuck of them it is, and one of them's like, it's done.
Shiv was the deciding vote.
7-6, the sale is going through. Yeah. Waystar Gold Joe, terrible name. Tom is CEO. Tom has brought up all the congratulations.
That to me, when I saw that, I was just like, that. You know, at that point, I was just so shocked at what had happened and how it had all gone down. How Shiv had betrayed him. How they'd had that awful fight. And then to see Tom being coming in and crowned as the CEO and like shaking hands with the Swedish guy, Matson. I was just like, oh my God. I like mouthed open.
Do you think her relationship with Tom and the pregnancy had any bearing on her decision
as
well?
Yes, I do think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think ultimately she made a choice. She wasn't going to be CEO either way. So I think this actually brings her closer to being CEO. Like she's going to be the wife.
Does it?
Yes.
I don't necessarily think from that perspective. I think it was like she loves Tom.
But
she
for her
doesn't want to be alone,
well.
and for her child.
So her child is going to be the son or daughter of a CEO.
Yeah, I don't actually think it's from like because she doesn't want to be her mother, but she's become her mother by doing this.
Do you think she's becoming Caroline?
I'd like to think not. I'd like to think there wasn't there's not going to be like a full metamorphosis, but in terms of solely position, yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah.
But I just don't know how you break the cycle then. I don't think she will, because even what I thought was interesting about Tom when he walks up is like, I think he is, when people talk about him not having that killer instinct or whatever, he's so confident in that role now and he's so happy and he's already like, Frank and Carl gone. We're bringing Jerry back in. She knows everything.
Yeah.
Like he's already making like
I thought he
the
was,
decisions.
When he walked back into the boardroom, he was like kind of surveying everything as if he was like an emperor. I just thought it was like, wow, we really see him like he has won.
The full ascent, like it was satisfying. I never would have picked him if you were to go back in time and ask me at the start of season 1. I never would have picked him and I never thought he would be capable. But you see him there and then and it's like, so I'm sorry, the scene where he's stickering Greg, very funny.
It's very, very funny. Yeah.
And I'm not, the way the initial conversation was going, I was like, oh my God, he's going to cut him off at his knees, which I think also kind of would have been a bit satisfying, but they've been through too much together. Yeah. I think he recognises, I think he's still going to be loyal to Tom in most ways.
Yeah.
So, and I think he recognises that. So he's like, I need him around. If I have him out loose now, he's probably too much of a risk. Like he knows too much. Yeah.
He knows where the bodies are buried, as they say.
I'm just thinking about it now all again. It
was a lot. It was just like heart in your mouth kind of stuff. Like, it's just, yeah. And then they have that final scene where they're in the back of, he's like, I have a car in 20 minutes. And then she goes down and I
didn't think she was going to go with him because it seemed like she kind of shook her head. And then you have you have the two of them in the car at the end. And she's like, congrats. And he's like, no. He puts out his hand. She puts hers in his. They're barely holding hands. Yeah. It's like, it's so grim because it's just like, it's not happy. No. It's not a fresh start for them. It's his full transition into being this hyper worker. And sorry, to go back to the funeral, there was a hint in the funeral episode, I think when Manson decided he wanted Tom and not Shiv, was when he knew he wasn't at the funeral. And Shiv was like, oh, he's working. And Manson was like, oh, I can respect that. This fellow who just works all the time and won't even come to his fucking soon-to-be ex-wife's dad's funeral. Like,
oh my God, yeah, I never even thought of that.
I never thought that either, but again, it was people were saying it, and again, TikTok clip, so... but yeah, not a happy ending for them, I think.
Do you remember at the start of the episode where she was on the plane going to Barbados to get Roman, and then she asked Tom straight out, she's like, do you think there's any future?
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah. So it's like,
and then you see he was like, honestly, I don't know, and then she gets so upset.
Yeah, but I think honestly that's why she wouldn't back Kendall either. I think she's like, she thinks she's breaking the cycle, and she thinks she's trying, and she thinks like, oh, if I'm here, like, I can be different. It can be different, but it just can't necessarily. Which is so sad.
It's mad. It's just mad.
And then we have Roman's at a bar. He's drinking a martini. He's smiling.
Which
he's like,
somebody pointed out. I read an article / saw TikTok. That's Jerry's drink.
Jerry's drink, yeah. And I think he's the only one in a way who got a happy ending, and he's probably the one who deserved the least, as we've said, because he's just the fucking worst person alive.
Yeah.
But like, he's free. He's done. He's out. He doesn't need to do anything, but he has so much money from this deal now.
Yeah.
He's done.
He started and finished the season with like 2 acts of like unspeakable cruelty. Do you remember at the start, the very, very first episode, where he was like, if you make this home run, I'm going to give you $1 million.
The kids, yeah.
And then like, so he's just been cruel to kids. He's gone back to a child.
Yeah.
He's a bully.
Yeah. And then...
But he's also all alone.
Yeah, all alone.
He had to go in and sign that. I didn't understand why he had to sign, because he's
CEO, just to like the sign over.
Yeah.
And Kendall was obviously, at that point, we thought Kendall was...
Did you think Kendall was going to kill himself?
Yeah, but I'm, again, kind of glad he didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you listen to, again, the official Succession podcast.
Boo.
And they interviewed Jeremy Strong, and apparently there is a take where he goes to climb over the barriers and Colin, the bodyguard, goes to get him and like briefs him off.
There was like numerous
points. Kind
points.
of too obvious in some ways. And even Jeremy kind of says, like, the implication is that he like doesn't, like the ending, he doesn't say that he doesn't survive it, but like the ending isn't good. He doesn't come back from this. So I would imagine... Like regretfully, I would imagine the cycle of like addiction begins again.
That's what I was thinking.
Like Pierce is not a thing.
He's going to be off doing Molly.
Yeah, there's no
and kissing Stewie.
But to me, that would be a happy ending, and it's just I don't think so. But yeah, we have this final scene where Kendall's back at the water. He's looking out at the sea, and Colin is like 10 or 5 paces behind him, which was
stalking him.
So again, like so unnerving, like so kind of made me feel like just so gross about the whole thing that like, you know, he thinks this is the end of his world, but at the end of the day, he has all this money, he's protected forever, he doesn't need to do anything, but this is all he wanted.
Yeah.
And just to see him looking out at the water,
contemplating his life. But he literally has nothing, and like he has no friends, no family.
That is the thing as well, like and the funeral episode, we mentioned this, like he's really cut all ties with Rava because they decide to not, Rava and the kids decide to not go to the funeral because it's unsafe, and it's unsafe in their opinion, because of their position and everything else. And Kendall takes this really, really badly. Like there's no hope of reconciliation there, I think, with them. He's not really in the kids' lives anyway.
No.
He has no interest, I would say, in relationships with...
They need a Peter.
Yeah.
They need a Peter. They need a stepdad who's going to step up. Because Kendall...
Not Peter, I'll tell you that.
Well, but do you notice as well, actually, I wanted to mention this, like he's like, I will lie in front of this car. And then he just doesn't. He just gets out of the way. And then he just
doesn't.
I was like, you're like so weak.
He's so weak. He's just...
painful.
A good ending. I'm still satisfied even reliving it.
It's a satisfying ending. It's like... Did you mention it? Did you notice at the start that like Shiv was like, I don't want to be some Lady Macbeth character, but then she is Lady Macbeth. And like I thought that like they always say that it's like King Lear. They say
the Kendall Roman scene is but very King Lear apparently.
Which one? The one
where
of
he's like shoving them into it with the eye and stuff. Yeah,
see, I didn't do King Lear. For the
I didn't either.
I just think
you was just here lying. Literally, it's very King Lear. I'm just copying what other people said. It's fine.
I'm it's like King Lear with the media industrial complex. No way, the camera's
dead, babe.
The camera's dead.
There's no video for the rest of this.
But I thought the last episode was very Macbeth, which I did study for the Leaving Cert, so I can talk about.
Yeah,
because there's even like. There's a ghost. There was a ghost in Macbeth, Banquo, Act 3, Scene 5.
Okay. Oh, here he is. Here he is, girls.
But like, I just thought that it was, and then I think Shiv is Lady Macbeth at the end.
Yeah.
I'm very satisfied with the ending. I obviously wanted Shiv to win. I think in some ways this is a win for her because even though she's not CEO, neither is Kendall.
Yeah, but I don't see that as a win for her. I actually see it as like it's a win for the greater good, which she recognised.
But I just think that she knew that he would be so shit as a CEO, and that she just decided that she needed to protect the company over everything. But
I don't even think it's just that. I actually think it was like I actually think Kendall might have been able to do it, but it's just I actually think he would have been. You know when there's earlier in the season and Nate's like, you're not Logan and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think there was a possibility that he could have been worse.
Yeah. Well, I thought what we saw of the whole episode.
Like he literally killed someone and then.
Yeah, he did kill someone.
You know, like he did kill a man.
Yeah. But then Logan was like...
Just the people who are doing the TikTok edit. Like, you know the way Taylor Swift has this new song? I don't know if you're a Swiftie as well, but the Swiftie Succession fandoms, they do converge.
Okay.
And like there's people on TikTok who'll do... She's a new song out at the minute and they reckon it's about Joe Alwyn and like the split, and there's a line in it that it's like...
She never stops that one.
She's a factory. But there's a line in it that it's like, I wouldn't marry me either. And it's very like... a constant people pleaser or something like that. People have already done edits of this final episode where it's like the sad scenes of Kendall to this song. And it's like...
I think I'd like those, yeah.
I think you would, but like also we cannot baby girl Kendall anymore. You know what I mean? He killed a man.
He did.
You're baby girling a murderer, you know? Just a thought. Anyway, what were we saying? I can't remember. Anyway, no, do you know what? A satisfying ending. And I hear people being like, it kind of left you wanting more in a way, but more from the show. It couldn't have ended any other way. And I'm glad, like, the only thing I was worried about was Greg, and that didn't happen, and I'm glad.
Okay, that's fair.
In an ideal world, would it have been fun to see Jerry swoop in and get it? Yeah, but it wouldn't have made sense.
No, it wouldn't have made
sense. How would you,
either.
like, and then in some ways I'm like, would I have liked to have seen Shiv get the win? Yeah, but like, I don't think she would have been a good CEO.
No. And ultimately, I mean, anyone who was going to be put forward for this was also going to be just doing the bidding of Mattson.
Yeah.
It was kind of a ceremonial role.
And none of them would have wanted that. Like, I think Shiv thinks she would have wanted that, but...
I think she just wanted the title.
Yeah.
It's so good, my God. I'm sad that there's not going to be any more seasons. Do you think they could be, like, in 10 years' time, could they revisit?
I'm glad you asked this. I want a prequel series on Jerry slutting around New York.
Oh, she's very Samantha Jones,
yeah,
I think.
That's what I want. I want like a Sex and the City-esque, but it's Jerry's life.
Oh my God, yeah.
Or a Carolyn Frank prequel buddy cop kind of thing.
Yes.
I don't know again how you'd make that
I
work.
actually felt a bit sorry for Frank and Carol that they're going to be fired.
No, I don't.
Do you not?
No.
Oh, I kind of like them.
Maybe Frank a small bit. Carl, I don't care for Carl.
I kind of fancy Frank.
Frank is not the blonde one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
He kind of...
There's something about him, isn't he?
He reminds me of a puppet that I kind of fancy. I don't know, or like one of the...
A puppet?
Yeah.
What do you mean a puppet?
He has like sexy kind of puppet qualities.
He looks a bit like the eagle from Sesame Street.
Yes! That's it!
Oh my God, you fancy the eagle from Sesame Street?
We'll leave it there, folks. Thank you so much for listening. No, I'm only joking. I do think I do, yeah. Look, do you know what? I'm joking about these prequel series. I actually don't think in actuality that they could work at all. And a part of me thinks we need to leave it alone, if not forever, at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I'd be annoyed.
Somebody was saying that, I think apparently Alexander Skarsgård suggested that there would be a future, one set in the future where it would be the child of Shiv and Tom. Do you think Shiv and Tom get back together ultimately?
No, I think it's... I'd like them to, but no, I think it's just for show. Okay. And in some ways, does that kind of suit them grand? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially what Shiv was doing at the start and then what Tom ended up kind of doing as their marriage dissolved.
So like, Tom has nothing in his life that's actually real.
Not really, no. Greg. That's sad.
Isn't this? That's tragic.
God, I feel
Greg
sick again
fucking
actually
annoyed
talking
me
about
this
it.
season.
Yeah, Greg was annoying.
There was just something I was like, you're not adding anything. Like, you're just being annoying and awkward and you're making me cringe.
I would have loved to have seen him get cut off at the knees or like get a really shitty job.
If he was cut off at the knees, he'd probably still be 6'2".
He's so tall.
One scene that I really wanted to talk about was when the four wives / mistresses.
Sorry, yes, before we finish,
Logan.
we need to talk about that funeral scene. Incredible. And for anyone who doesn't know, Sally Ann, who's like...
This is sounds
Which
good.
mistress is she? Was she Caroline's...
Yeah, she was...
The mistress when Logan was married to Caroline.
Exactly.
And then Kerry was obviously...
The mistress when Logan was married to Marsha.
Yeah, even though... Yeah.
But Marsha had kind of gone away.
At that point, and then you had Rhea or whatever the fuck her name was.
Wasn't Rhea there? Isn't that the one that she went up and asked her if she got the STI checks?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
So where the fuck was Rhea? Why wasn't she at the funeral?
Oh my God, yeah.
Ungrateful. Didn't she get fired from Pierce Media?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Actually, I don't know. I can't remember. Can we not get into shit that happened?
Sorry.
Because this cannot be fact checked right now, and I'm not doing it right now. But anyway, sorry for anyone who doesn't know. Sally Ann is played by Brian Cox's real life wife.
That's amazing.
Nicole Ansari. Nicola Ansari.
I think it's
Nicole Ansari. No, I don't think so. Different spelling, I think.
Okay.
But I didn't recognize her. And then when she said it, she shared it on her Instagram after. I was like, oh my God. But that was it was such a good scene.
Why, is she like an actress? Is she a famous actress?
Yeah, she does a bit of acting herself.
Okay.
I wouldn't know what else she's been in now, but she's the one who put up the clip of, you know, at the rap party when they're all dancing to Call Me Maybe.
Yes.
She put that up and I put it on my story and she liked it. Not to brag.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
I am 2 degrees separation away from Brian Cox. 2 degrees, 1 degree. Anyway, doesn't matter.
God.
I'm taking that to the grave. Anyway, incredible scene. Loved seeing the women like all together and like that. And it was a nice scene.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, Kerry makes the comment about how he's not going to grind his teeth or whatever in his sleep. And they're all like kind of smiling at each other. And it's
they all
just,
laughed.
Yeah, it was so nice.
And Marsha and Kerry, like they kind of held hands. And I was like, oh my God.
When it could have been a really like nasty, and they'd obviously had such a nasty interaction initially. Kerry and Marsha.
So Kerry brought a lawyer in case she couldn't get in. Now she's a bit cut up over the whole thing. I was like, how much could she actually possibly have loved her?
Crying again. I did laugh, but like, girl,
like what the fuck?
Get out there and get some good New York dick. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Do you know?
But honestly, yeah, you live in the most exciting city in the world. And you're hung up over some 80-year-old.
Text Dewey. He's a few lads.
Yeah. Frank and Carol. They'll be free. Is that a fucking ice cream truck?
There's Mr. Softy heralding in the end of the final episode of Succheads.
What are we
moving on to next, you ask? We could do girls. Do you want to do girls?
Oh my, I would absolutely die. I can't believe that you've never seen Girls.
I know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. There's lots of, what are you going to move on to next yourself?
This
even if we don't go over it for this.
So this is it. I don't know what I'm going to watch. I started watching The Bear.
Okay, great.
And I watched it. Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Really good. There's something, I really fancy that guy, Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah, he's divine.
Isn't he?
Yeah. And recently single, girl.
Is he?
Yeah. He was with his wife for a very long time, though, kind of sad. And they have small kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's also set in Chicago, and I'm going to Chicago next week.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So I'm going to see if I can try and find it.
Are you going for work or pleasure?
No. My cousin's getting married. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. Have a great
Chicago
time.
Wedding. So yeah.
Oh, I'm really jealous. I'd love to go to Chicago. Anyway, I know.
What are you going to watch next?
What am I going to watch next? We are rewatching The Bear because Keane hadn't watched it, and the second season is out in June next month. Whenever this comes out, hopefully very soon. Whatever this episode, I mean, might move on to Severance because I've heard Succession-esque hype, and there's only one season. I need something kind of new to get into straight away. Yeah, I've also heard Industry is very good.
Yes, that's the one that's set in London.
Yes.
Apparently there's a lot of full frontal nudity in that one, Fionnuala.
Oh, we love full frontal nudity here at Flop Culture.
Literally flop culture.
Literally flop culture. Oh, and this has been such a joy. You will be back because the listeners are obsessed with you. I'm obsessed with you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you had fun.
This has been honestly the funnest thing I've ever done in my life.
This is your idea. You texted me and you were like, will we do Succession podcast? And I was like, sure.
Yeah. And I was like, I literally said it kind of
I think we'd spoken like 4 times prior to that.
I was telling someone that I was doing a podcast with you and they were like, how do you know her? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't know. I think she emailed me one time asking her, is that it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Was it to Padraig Wilson McCarthy, who's extremely jealous that I get to do 5 podcasts with you.
We love Padraig as well. We do love Padraig.
Well, he's always hanging about, isn't he?
Anyway, I'm not starting any more fights here on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Cara Swisher, Padraig Wilson McCarthy, we're fucking after you.
Owen Keane, it's been an absolute pleasure. I leave all your links below if anyone wants to follow you. You're doing great, important journalistic work as well. But you're also incredibly funny on Twitter. So I will link your Twitter below if anyone doesn't follow him there. That is it from us, from Succheads. Final episode, the unofficial Succession recap podcast. All episodes of Succession, including the series finale, can be watched on Now on demand. So go do that if you haven't watched yet. Really not sure why you're at the end of this episode, as I always say. And yeah, that's it. Really hope you've enjoyed. Bye, I guess.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.